The Boeing 747, often dubbed the Queen of the Skies, has been a cornerstone of commercial aviation for decades. Something unexpected just happened with the 747 at London Heathrow. This has raised some unique questions, and one of them being asked is, what's happening with the Boeing 747? Let's find out. The Boeing 747 is a wide-body, long-range aircraft that was created and produced in the United States by Boeing Commercial Airplanes between 1968 and 2023. First time in 8 months, a rare 747 arrived at London Heathrow. While this might seem like normal news, it is actually pretty big because it wasn't just any 747 model that landed at Heathrow. This was a 747-400 model, an increasingly rare sight in the skies, with only 4 airlines still flying passenger 747s today. On March 26, 2024, a passenger 747 operated by Lufthansa landed at London Heathrow on a flight from Miami after it had diverted from its original destination of Frankfurt Airport. This made it the first 747 landing at Heathrow since another 747 operated by Lufthansa also made a diversion to the airport 8 months prior. The reason for the diversion was that the aircraft had an emergency on board while crossing the Atlantic Ocean, which made the crew request a diversion to Dublin, eventually changing to London Heathrow. After touching down, the aircraft was parked on a hard stand for 2 hours before continuing its journey to Frankfurt. The sudden appearance of the 747 aircraft still concerns Lufthansa, which plans to continue operating it until the middle of the next decade at least. But there's an overarching plot to all of this. In March 2020, just before the COVID-19 lockdowns, 1,242 round-trip 747 flights were scheduled at Heathrow. British Airways used to fly the aircraft from London to New York's JFK International up to 6 times daily. Today, British Airways no longer operates the 747. The airline eventually retired its entire 747 fleet in October that year, with the final flight streamed to great fanfare. Now, it seems there could be a possibility that the Queen of the Skies is back on Heathrow's fleets. The Boeing 747 is a beloved aircraft, and despite being out of style commercially, many of its old passengers and even pilots absolutely loved the experience of flying on the jumbo jet. With the massive extra space on the 747, many airlines were able to become creative and offered a wide variety of services to their customers, including the introduction of new classes. The Boeing 747 was incredibly large and came with an iconic design resembling a beluga whale with its unique hump. Not only was it the first jumbo jet, it was also sleek for its sheer size. Its tail rose as high as a 6-story building, and its wingspan was wider than the width of a football pitch. It was the first aircraft to come with overhead bins and 2 passenger aisles. The Boeing 747 quickly caught the eye of the public as it opened up a market that had never before existed in the aviation industry. The aircraft single-handedly ushered in a new age of accessible, affordable long-haul travel, completely transforming the landscape of commercial aviation. The plane's cargo-enabling design also drastically transformed the air cargo market due to its payload and the ease of loading cargo it offered. However, it did have its problems, which ultimately led to its decline in popularity. As the 747 battled with its high fuel consumption, noise emissions, and carbon emissions, new aircraft such as the Boeing 777 and 787 Dreamliner, as well as Airbus's A350, were springing up and offering passengers everything the 747 offered in a more efficient manner, even though they didn't quite compete size-wise. In December 2022, the last 747 rolled off the assembly line. The 747 still enjoys use as a freighter aircraft and even as an official government plane for a few countries. but it looks like its production run is certainly over. However, that may not necessarily be where its story ends. Boeing is known for revamping old designs of its planes and introducing technologies to make them able to compete with modern aircraft. It did so with the 737 MAX, despite its problems, and it's also doing so for the 777 with the 777X program. Could it do the same for the 747? Boeing's Everett facility was literally built around the development of the 747, and it still exists today. Production only stopped in the early 2020s, which means expertise and machinery would still be on hand to deliver a revamp of the aircraft. This wouldn't be an easy task, however, as any revamp of the 747 would have to take away 2 of its engines to reduce fuel consumption. Thanks for joining us today. What do you think about the many incidents with the 747 and its prospects for the future? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting aviation content.